Well, yeah, earlier today I'd asked you about fundraising. Well, now it looks like
now
the numbers
we know.
came out. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we're pleased. We raised $14 million this quarter, about $21 million last quarter, so $35 million year to date. That's a very strong first half of the year. We're obviously competitive with Mayor Giuliani. I think I led him for the first half of the year, and he got an extra $1 million in the second quarter. But we're very much in the game here, and we'll both have the money we need to run a very successful primary campaign. I'm pleased that we added 50,000 new donors to our team this quarter, and we're going to have to keep on working hard to raise the money that we each need. I think it's going to be a very spirited campaign, and I sure hope I win it.
Governor, the loan you put in for $6.5 million, was that one loan or was it multiple sort of installments?
There were a couple of times that I made loans into the campaign. I know one very early in the quarter and one very late. As you can tell, we have enough cash that it's not a matter of needing cash on hand. We have plenty of cash to proceed with our campaign. I just feel that there are a lot of people making large sacrifices to support my campaign, and this is a critical election. And I'm going to make a contribution to making sure that we have the kind of leadership we need in a critical time for America. I care very deeply about this race. I care very deeply about America, and I'm going to contribute just as other people are contributing.
Hi, I'm with the local paper.
Yes, again.
And,
the editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
And the reporter.
Something like that. Here's our publisher.
Oh, that's the publisher. Okay, there you go.
You've been traveling around Iowa for quite some time now, and I'm just wondering, what issues are you seeing here? And, you know, what are the main ones that what's your perception, and what are you going to do for Iowa?
You know, the number one issue that I heard from Iowa that started 2 years ago or so when I began making speeches here and asking people for their thoughts, the number one issue surprised me. It was immigration. And I thought to myself, well, Iowa is probably as far away from the border as, you know, one border or the other as any state in America. And yet people are very concerned here that people who come into America live by the law. And I recognize this is a very important issue to people all over the country. So that's probably the single most important issue. Number 2 and 3 would probably be health care and education. People are concerned about having good health care and not losing their health insurance. If they lose a job, they want their kids to get a great education. Now,
You're not hearing about the Farm Bill?
Not very much about that. Very rarely do I get asked questions about the Farm Bill. Although we're going to continue to support the American farmer, particularly at a time when Europe is highly protective of their own agricultural industry and when our products are not allowed into some markets as freely and openly as they ought to be. We're not going to put our farmers at a disadvantage relative to the farmers of Europe or other places in the world. I didn't mention Iraq. But interestingly, as you perhaps even noted in this room, I wasn't asked a question about Iraq.
No.
It's an issue that every one of us thinks about probably almost every day. You watch TV, you hear the radio, you open a newspaper, you're going to see a story about Iraq, and that's an ongoing issue. And I point out that I support the president's troop surge at this point. But those would be probably the top issues that come to mind as I talk to people across the state of Iowa.
Governor, I've come back to the money issue, and that is that raised $6 million less this quarter than in the first quarter. What do you attribute that to? And overall, why do you think the Republican candidates can't keep up with the Democratic counterparts raising money?
Well, we're raising a heck of a lot more than was raised the last cycle by, for instance, Senator Kerry or other Democratic contenders. And you raise enough money to manage your campaign and to carry your message. You don't have to raise more than that. And the time that we'll have to be highly competitive with Democrats is when we've each elected a nominee. So at this stage, I spent a lot less time fundraising this quarter than I did the first quarter. And of course, the first quarter it was a big effort, a little less this quarter. And as a result of that, I'm very proud of the fact that we raised more money so far this year than anybody else on the Republican side. But there's no reason for us to try and top Democrats because we're not in a race with Democrats. We're in a primary amongst ourselves, and when that's sorted out, then we go to phase 2, which is raising the national money, the hundreds of millions, presumably, it will take on each side of the aisle to take our message forward.
What do you think about sharing the parade route tomorrow in Clear Lake with Senator Clinton?
That's going to be great. You know that? We'll get a chance to say hi to the senator and her husband, and I know that there'll be plenty of Secret Service around to keep us all safe.
You talked about a lot of the problems that you want to fix in office, but there's been a Republican president and mostly a Republican Congress for answers. So how will a Romney administration differ from a Bush administration?
Well, just because a person is in the same party as someone else doesn't mean we see every issue the same way. And there are places where the president and I have different views on issues. Immigration is one of them. Our party also led in Congress, and I frankly was not pleased with the overspending and the earmarks that occurred during the time that my party was in charge in Congress. I do know something by looking at the national discussion of the national attitude, and that is, as the president's popularity has gone down, Congress has gone down too. And the idea that somehow that one party can attack the other and be lifted by doing it, that just doesn't work. We rise and fall together, and it's time for Republicans and Democrats to recognize that we can both be successful by solving the problems of America and helping the people of America. And if I'm elected president, I will work with Democrats and Republicans to solve the problems that so urgently face us.
Great. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.